Hello everyone and welcome to TV Talks, the show where I take a look at both the good and the bad of what television has to offer. Today it's George of the Jungle. Watch out for that reboot. As you can see by the picture displayed here, this is not the J. Ward version. No, this is the 2008 and 2016 Teletoon version. Why two dates? Just hang in and you'll see. Now, the 1960s J. Ward is a lot of fun. It's ridiculous and intentionally stupid, and despite the crappy animation, it's a lot of fun. And unfortunately, it's not really held in high regard today when it comes to pop culture. I mean, yeah, of course cartoon fans love it, but all people really know about George of the Jungle now is that movie. And I guess its sequel, more or less. So some people at Teletoon decided, hey, let's make another one. And yeah, I think you know how it turned out given the fact that it was made by Teletoon. Teletoon kind of has a reputation for making a lot of stuff really fast and really cheap. And yeah, aside from Total Drama Island and a couple other things like Johnny Test, it hasn't gotten that much success in their stuff, especially abroad. Now, some people will tolerate it in Canada, but when it comes to America, a lot of people don't like Teletoon, and to be honest, for good reason. And this show was panned when it came out. In Canada, the reception was just kind of mixed, but in America, people hated it. When it debuted on the Cartoon Network, it was a nightmare. Ratings were bad, critics absolutely hated it, audiences were just disgusted. And it had a crappy tie-in video game, but that's not something we're going to talk about here. So, how is the show? Well, yeah, it's kind of that. It's obviously the same kind of premise as the original, with George living in the jungle with his intelligent ape named Ape. And he has two friends, a jungle girl named Magnolia, who's kind of a country valley girl for some reason, and then a girl from the civilized world who is staying here with her scientist father, Ursula. And then that scientist father and then the witch doctor often feud, and it's just kind of put in the background. So, what kind of stuff goes on here? Really stupid stuff where they are afraid to say thank you because bad things happen, where George decides to go without bathing because he takes one bath a year and he decides not to do it. And a lot of stuff about his obsession with the superhero Mantler, the man with antlers. First of all, the animation. It's flash, it's cheap, and it doesn't look good. Some of the designs are okay, but a lot of them use a lot of simple shapes. Like Ape is just a bunch of really simple polygonal shapes stacked on top of each other. George is just a few ovals with some hair, that kind of stuff. The characters are very cheaply designed and very cheaply animated. And like I said, it's Teletoon, this is par for the course. And I admit, some of the textures on some of the background stuff, like the wood or the leaves, they look okay. But the designs don't really lend themselves to the character personalities very well. Like, George is supposed to be a mighty hero of the jungle, yet he is as thin as a noodle. The writing for this doesn't even try to be like George of the Jungle, like the actual George of the Jungle. And now, I can understand, it's a different adaptation, it's a different version, they're trying to do their own thing, but they're not even coming close. It's like if you made Pokemon, but instead of Pokemon, you had Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters. Or if SpongeBob was remade and became a political commentary. You're missing the main point. George of the Jungle is supposed to be extremely stupid and self-referential. With a narrator that pokes a lot of jokes, there's a lot of puns involved. This is just a bunch of stupid slapstick. Now, slapstick is really funny if it's done well, but the problem with flash animation is the physical slapstick can't work, and then when the characters are as flat as this, it doesn't work on a character level either. Speaking of which, yeah, the characters aren't very good. Now, the characters were never really supposed to be fleshed out, because they're just supposed to be jokes. But when the jokes aren't here, the characters just feel weak. Magnolia is just a valley girl, Ursula's just a regular girl, Ape is smart, George is dumb, and that's basically it. The characters do not evolve above that. The acting is actually okay for some characters not though. Magnolia's voice really grates on me, and it seems like the actress was just trying too hard to be light and bubbly. And the two doctors don't really do an especially great job, but George and Ape actually do a decent job, even though George's voice does not fit at all for the character, but it does fit for the wimpy character that he looks like. Really, this cartoon just amounted to just kind of bland nothingness. It was just exactly what you'd expect from Teletoon, and it only lasted one season. Right? What? There's another one? And it looks completely different? So for whatever reason, George of the Jungle had a second season 8 years after the other one went dead silent. Why? I don't know. This show was not rising in popularity in the slightest. Nobody was asking for this to come back, but yet, it did. And they changed everything. Nothing is the same. I guess the producers who made the original looked at it and said, hey, we missed the boat here. Because a lot of people did complain that it had nothing to do with the original George of the Jungle. And in this one, they definitely tried to make it like the original George of the Jungle. To mixed results. They try to add all that self-referential humor. But it doesn't work. The writing is just not good enough. It's trying too hard. It's like something you'd find on fanfiction.net. Somebody's trying too hard to capture the original without actually having the talent to be able to do it. It's as simple as that. They're trying too hard with the writing. Some of the jokes are decent, but are killed by the bad animation, because the animation has somehow gotten worse. Now, it looks a little better on first glance. It's a little brighter, the textures are a little bit better, but the movements are worse. Like I said in the last one with the Peanuts show, on how that was animated in Flash, everything was a little too slidey and a little too precise. That's this here. It's exactly the same thing. But the animation doesn't just fault with the animation itself, there's also the character designs. A lot of them have remained the same, but George has gotten a lot buffer, which I actually think works for his character a bit better. Magnolia, or Ursula, I don't know what her name is anymore. She looks a little bit monstrous. I personally like George's design a little bit better, like I said, but this one definitely doesn't work. But it does work for the character that is Ursula. No, I'm not wrong here. This is Ursula now. In the second season, Ursula and Magnolia switched names. And Magnolia is no longer a Southern Valley girl. She's now a monster. Basically, Gollum, but with full speech. And Ursula, now Magnolia, is largely the same. Abe's voice has changed, too. A lot of the voices have. Actually, I don't think any of them were carried over. The narrator from the original was bad, and they replaced him with someone that was actually good. George's voice does not work here. It doesn't. It's really annoying, and it does not fit the body at all. Just like the last one. Abe's British voice is objectively good, but I just kind of prefer the original because it kind of gives him a bit more of a sarcastic edge. Ursula's voice is okay, Magnolia's is okay. But then there's new characters, like Dr. Chicago, who becomes the main villain of this show. He used to be Dr. Scott in the original and was Ursula and now Magnolia's father. However, in this one, he is now an evil madman who wants to destroy the forest and is just some kind of crazy supervillain. And they kind of stole the backstory of Little Shop of Horrors because he was supposed to be a dentist because he liked being evil and causing things pain. And people would pay him to be inhumane. He also has a toothed sidekick named Cuspid, but he never really amounts to anything. So I guess objectively, the second season is a bit better, but it's still not very good. I mean, it tries to be like the original, but it's just kind of a weak reboot. It's fine, but because of the originals there, it does not look good. I can't call either of these bad, though, because they're just kind of there. They're just generic, bland kid shows that come from Teletoon. They're kind of slapped together, they don't really have much effort put into them, and they were made on the cheap. What else do you expect? So I don't give any of these a seal. I give both Season 1 and Season 2 of Teletoon's George of the Jungle nothing.
You get nothing!
I've been giving out a couple nothings lately, and I'm kind of surprised. Anyways, what did you guys think of George of the Jungle? What season do you prefer? And what was your reaction when you saw that there was a second season? Mine was, wait, what? Huh? And then followed by immediate intrigue and then regret upon watching it. These definitely fall on the lower side of nothing, and the first season was definitely close to getting the Scout and Seal disapproval. But it's just not bad enough. Like I said, it's just kind of generic Teletoon fare. Alright guys, I'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.